So welcome back to the latest episode of the podcast. We have IFBB Pro Darren Farrell with us today, and it's an honor, first of all. And Darren is the first Irish IFBB Pro show winner. So you're in the record books now, Darren. And Darren is one of the first of the new wave of pro bodybuilders that came out of Ireland. So Darren is in Dubai, and he's a little bit jet lagged, I think, from coming back from the States, and he's had clients in the Olympia. He's done it all, and we wanted to get Darren on today to chat about Darren's story, just to talk about like the journey he's had so far, and talk about the business of bodybuilding and his plans for 2022, which I know he has big plans. So, Darren, how are you getting on?
Firstly, thank you very much for quite the introduction. So hopefully I can live up to that. Provide some entertaining content today, or some useful content. But yeah, it's great to be invited on. We go way back from the early days. So yeah, it's cool to be invited on now, and looking forward to a good discussion.
So, like, I suppose the first thing I want to talk about is the recent pro win, because I think that's the biggest topic I can think of when I think of what you've done recently. First of all, like, congrats. Second of all, like, where's the sword?
It's actually right behind. It's in reaching distance still.
So they let you bring it on the plane anyway, at least.
Just about. It took about 40 minutes to get that cleared. I was like, it's actually a trophy. It's not a real sword.
Yeah, it's not sharp.
I had it taped up in its box and stuff, so they TSA eventually allowed it to go as like special oversized luggage.
Yeah, class. Very cool.
Yeah. You
know now anyway for the future what to do. So for the next ones you bring home.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So I suppose it has to be a little bit surreal as well. Like, actually after having gone for it in the past, and I suppose you've climbed up through the ranks from being an amateur on the Irish stage, I think the Mr. Cork show is the first show I saw you compete in, and climbed from that to your first muscle contest that you did here in Limerick, and then climb to competing in New Zealand, winning your pro card, and then from there to here. It's been a kind of a bit of a whirlwind in that, like, you've progressed. Like, I would say the progression is incredibly quick. Like, it's been pretty quick, like, by anyone's standards. And it's a testament to you and to your team over there and the people that are around you over there, just how, what's actually possible. And I wanted to kind of cover as well, this is the big thing I wanted to kind of pick your brain on, was there ever a stage where, what was the big change mentally? What was the big change in your head that, I suppose, just lit the spark to make that transition from being a pretty good amateur to being a very good pro?
So yeah, it's definitely been a journey, and one that, like, every step of the way, it's like everything I've accomplished on the way, I've always gone after, like, wow, I didn't expect that, and nobody else did. It was like, if I'd said to someone a couple of weeks back I was going to do this, they'd laugh at me.
Yeah.
But every step of the way has just been a complete, like, whirlwind and like surreal moment for me. Turning pro I wasn't even, like, going towards that show, I wasn't even considering it, because I'd come off the back of a season where I placed like last in 2 pro qualifiers.
Yeah.
So it's like, right here, it's about going back to one of them just to be my best and actually be proud of something I put on stage. And the pro card wasn't even a discussion. So then winning that was amazing. We had some time off then, and we obviously did the first show, the UK show, which was, it was supposed to, like, for me, it was going to be massive. I was looking forward to it. People thought I could win it, and then it just all went downhill really towards the end of the final. But leading into it, it wasn't the best display. And I think from then on, when it came to UK bodybuilding and talking about UK and Irish bodybuilders in the Classic, I didn't even get mentioned. So then this year, wasn't even going to compete. We can go into it a bit more later if you want, or go into it now. Like,
yeah, sure.
Kind of the mental side of things for me kind of crept up again this year. Obviously I've dealt with depression in the past, and I was just having a point this year where training just was terrible. I was like taking my pictures weekly still to look at and I was just like, I'm getting worse. It's like I'm just getting fatter and smaller, and I was just like, I'm getting so disillusioned with it, and I was just like, I'm done. So I wanted to stop, and then conversation with Jamie one day, and he was just like, you just need to just forget about like how you need to train to progress, doing all this. And he said, just do what you want to do and just train, and then just eat. I just did that for a week, and went back, and he saw me, and he was just like, fuck, you've changed.
Yeah.
That kind of got me going again, and I started enjoying it. And I did another week, and he was like, you need to do a show. And I was like, I don't know. Previously, I had applied to do the Arnolds, and saying that, I think just driving on the way home from the gym after that conversation, I seen the list released. And I was like, oh, I'm not on it. And at that point, I was like, I sat there and I was like, my heart sunk a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that to me, I was like, right, I still want to do this.
Yeah.
So I messaged Jay, and I was like, I didn't get the Arnold's invite, but what's the next? I want to do a show. And he was just like, oh, Spain's on in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So went and did Spain, and I think after that show, a couple of people, like I remember going to Becky, I was like, Jordan Peters just messaged me, say he was in the crowd and thought I looked awesome at that show and stuff, and I was like, fuck. Then I placed 11th out of like 20 something at that show, but the look was good, and we could see that there was something there. Like obviously I'd only prepped for 5 weeks, so
very strong. Yeah,
I struggled to make weight. I was like 230 pounds a few days out.
Yeah,
having to make 222.
Okay.
So yeah, but we did. But I was kind of like, after that night of that show, I was just like, all right, I know I can be better. Is what's on in a couple of weeks' time. So I looked, and I was like, I seen 2 shows back to back in Marion, Texas, and I was like, fuck it.
Yeah,
I'll go there. And that was it. There was nothing.
Yeehaw, motherfucker.
Think about it. It was just the middle of the night decision where it's, oh shit, there's 2 shows in Texas, so I'll go there. And yeah, I went out there with like, the dream would be to place top 3.
Yeah,
that if I could sneak a 3rd place or something, at least to get my name kind of on the books, get the judges to know me. That was the whole mission of it. So to go out there and actually win was very unexpected, to say the least.
Now they've basically taken down your name. They said, okay, this guy is that isn't that a huge thing though? Like that's one thing people have to realize when it comes to the pro circuit as well, is that is a thing. Like it does count for something. Like I suppose I would call it momentum. Like they talk about that a lot with pro guys at every division, and females as well, is that you have to build a certain momentum in terms of just the way things are for the judging side of things, and them knowing you and them kind of having an eye on you, because I suppose the more well-known you are, the more likely people are to immediately track their eye to you. You'll actually just get more field of vision in people's eye. And then obviously for yourself as well, on a personal note, once you start gaining that momentum, the belief is there. And I'd assume that your belief since last week, is a week and a half ago, since then, your belief in your ability and like what's possible now has shot up because of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess for me, it was like a big one to be at the Olympia then last weekend, an experience, and just have like people coming up to me who I looked up to and stuff, and be like, I saw you sick win, and best of luck for your prep. And like people like Milo Sarchev coming up to me and be like, you looked incredible for that. So yeah, I think being around it and seeing all like the meet the Olympians and like knowing that that's going to be me next year, I was like, okay, we're here, trying to believe it now, I guess.
I saw that you put a photo beside Chris Womstead, and I was like, kind of cool because next year you're going to be on the same stage as that guy.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
cool.
what we talked. Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, "See you on stage next year."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the guy from Cork that I knew, going back to, I suppose, the early days, I recall that you come from a kind of a hockey background, wasn't it? Like it was that you were playing hockey.
Yeah.
And I would have considered you like at the time, I would have considered that you were kind of ectomorphic in that, like, you wouldn't have put on size very easily. Like, and again, this is what you're looking at the time. It's impossible to know because, like, you know, you can't look into the future, but like the amount of mass you've packed on is incredible. Because I mean, like, I knew you're wide enough in the shoulders, but it's like you obviously have the frame there to fill it out. And I actually remember, I was looking recently and there was a photo of you from competing in Cork, and your shoulder to waist ratio, like your shoulders have like doubled in width and your waist got smaller. So like it's like triple it's like a kite now, whereas it was kind of like it's such a massive, like it doesn't even seem possible, but it's possible. But you know, I say,
as Arnold used to talk about, create the illusion.
It's amazing. Yeah. And again, sure, of course, like that's a big part of it too, is like even how you present yourself now is like, it's night and day, you know, your presentation compared to then, like, and obviously being like a beginning amateur, you just kind of go in and just give it a crack. Whereas now I'm assuming like that your life now compared to your life before things kind of really took off, like your average day is probably very, very different to when you were kind of over here.
Oh, well, completely. Like I'm in a position now where my daily life revolves around bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, I position everything I do to, you know, allow me to train at the time I want to train, have the recovery time after training, you know, be able to go for recovery sessions daily. So yeah, it is like I do live pretty much the life of like it's like professional bodybuilders. That's kind of number one priority daily.
Yeah. And what, like, as far as business and the career and the business of bodybuilding, let's say where you're at now, I'm assuming that like, because I do know you well enough, is that like you run a really good business, you run a very successful coaching business. I know you probably have other things on the side as well, that your side hustle that you're doing. You're working with other companies as well, like you're endorsing companies, and you seem to have like a lot of irons in the fire. So like, do you think that when people look at bodybuilding, like I always get people ask me, they say to me about bodybuilding, oh, if you win a pro card, do you win money? And I go like, no, you don't win money, but like the income that can come off it as a result is incredible. It's more than like, I try to tell people, is like the income difference, the clout or whatever you want to call it, the name, the recognition that you kind of get off that it can be monetized. And you're one of the kind of the new generation of bodybuilders who are just hungry, and you know how to actually operate the business of bodybuilding. And one of the things I've seen between UK, especially with the UK guys, is that they've really been able to turn this into a big business and been able to monetize and capitalize on it. And what I have found is a lot of the old school guys hate that. They hate that because they couldn't monetize it. And there's a bitterness there. I think there's a bitterness there. I see it in this country anyway. I see it in some guys in the UK as well, is that like there's almost this kind of bitterness that like, oh, like you shouldn't be recording your sessions and blah, 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 you shouldn't be whatever. It's like, yeah, but by recording the session and having your name out there, you're now making an extra like 4, 5, 6 figures a year. It's like, you would have done the same thing. And I always go back to people say like Dorian wouldn't be filming his sessions if he was around today. And I'd say, no, he wouldn't film them himself on a camera, but he'd have someone else film them. You can't use that argument forever, because, you know, I think you can definitely still be the best bodybuilder possible and the best competitor possible, and still manage an empire on the side, like still manage the business of bodybuilding and make money. And there's nothing wrong with making money. And I think there's this old thing of like, it's just this old school thing of guys saying that, like, you know, it's gone too commercial, it's gone whatever. But it's like, I actually think bodybuilding is in a really good place right now. I think it's in a great spot right now. It's seen a resurgence.
Yeah, it's definitely now, bodybuilding is now becoming like an industry that's like there is platforms now to make money. You know, it's becoming cool. It's popular. Like you can see more and more people getting into it, like younger and stuff. And I think with this sort of new age of social media, it's just become a more mainstream industry, which is ultimately, it's good for the sport. You know, there's more and more people coming into it. It's good for people's businesses. Yeah. And yeah, I totally agree with you with a lot of the thing. People don't really, not the older school, don't like this new online coaching and, you know, YouTube and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's making better bodybuilders. You know, it's allowing the better coaches to have access to more potential clients. Yeah. It's allowed as a bodybuilder up and coming to have access to a top coach. You know, yeah.
I would say as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And yeah, it's a very good industry to be involved. Like, you can make a lot of money if you do things right. You know, if you market yourself right, you're obviously, you do a good job. It's definitely a very, very profitable industry.
What's the I suppose word of warning that you give to anyone who's looking to become a coach? Kind of looking back on your own coaching career, and I know you have a background in nutrition, don't you? You have a background in, you did nutrition. Yeah. What would be the best advice you could give to someone who's looking to go towards the coaching industry, if they're kind of either starting out or it's something they want to pursue? What advice would you give them?
Be real, show a lot of themselves. I find that the more you show of yourself and the more personable you are, the more approachable you're going to be. Because even now, I find it crazy that I get inquiries and they ask, will they be working directly with me? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not, it's not an app, you know?
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the main things, would be just to show a lot of yourself.
Yeah.
And to be educated, you know, to actually actively want to learn and to get ahead of things. You know, that's the thing, like, especially now, this industry there's more and more information coming out. And I think, yeah, some of it's a bit fad and a bit trend. Yeah. But if you're not at least aware of these things to talk about them, you're not gonna stand out.
Yeah. I think there's a clear kind of, there's a lot of people coaching. But I always remind people who say that it's like a oversaturated market. Like I do full online coaching now. I wouldn't do one-to-one PT if you paid me 300 quid an hour. I wouldn't do it because I actually enjoy, like I'm sure you do as well, I actually enjoy my job. I love my job. I think this is the best job in the world. It's like I'm living the dream. And much like yourself, in a lot of ways, that this kind of work has allowed me to become a way better bodybuilder very quickly. I sleep 9 hours a night. I can sleep a full night's sleep. You can power nap if you want to power nap. You can train when you want to train. You can prep your food when you want to prep your food. You can get all your work done. And it's like, in a lot of ways, people go like, you know, about what a pro card used to mean, but it's like, you can technically make yourself a professional bodybuilder without a pro card. And there's plenty of guys, like, you know, it's not.
There's plenty younger guys and stuff, guys on YouTube who've never competed a day in their life, you know, making more money than, like, that's one of the things, like, and it was Jamie said it to me probably like 3 years ago. And he was just like, we were going somewhere and he was working in the middle of the night or something. And he was like, fuck that. Ain't going to be no broke-ass bodybuilder. Yeah. You know, like these guys. And you see it, you do see it, and it's sad a bit, like, you going to like these big shows and stuff, and, you know, some like top bodybuilders are like struggling to be able to afford to get there. And, you know, and that's why I find, like I said, you know, I feel very grateful to be in the position I'm with my own business and stuff. That, I flew to America business class so I could, sleep and relax and, have space to eat my meals and stuff like that. Yeah. When I go away, I book a big, nice apartment, so I've got space and a full kitchen, and I'm not having to worry about those things, and a comfortable car if I need it or whatever. Yeah. And as you said, all of these things allow you to be a better bodybuilder.
100%. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things I've kind of noticed myself, is that some people might look at these things as unnecessary, but they're looking at things through a very, very small lens, and they actually do add up. They accumulate. And what they come to is, first of all, money makes things happen. I always say, like, money isn't, people have, especially in this country, in Ireland anyway, we have this strange thing about money that, like, you're not supposed to talk about money. You're not supposed to mention money. You're not supposed to be proud of making, you can't be proud of making money. And that money is, if you make money, you're a bad person. It's like this kind of stigma. And the reality is that, like, just for example, in the roles we're in, like we both do online coaching, let's say, for example, if I make more money, it allows me to have a bigger impact. You can hire, let's say, videographers. You can hire guys to do software for you. You can hire web designers. You can improve the quality of the product you're putting out there, and the customer gets that back. So the customer gets a higher level of service. Everything is done at a higher level. You operate at a higher level, and you actually get more from them. So in a lot of ways, like, things come full circle, I think, when it comes to money. And the more money there is in the pot, the better product that can be made. Because it's not like, I always tell people, it's like, it's not like the money that people put into the pot of your bank account. It's not like all that money is just sitting in there. That money is being used and utilized, whether it's direct or indirectly. It can be directly into your business or indirectly into yourself and, your ability as a bodybuilder, which comes back full circle into, I suppose, someone wanting to work with you because you're a top level bodybuilder in the world. And that means that money has allowed that to happen. Obviously, without the money, none of that happens. So yeah. I think that's it's a very fixed mindset people have on money as a whole, as a thing. And there's nothing wrong. Like, I literally think there's nothing wrong with it, but it's, some people are so caught up in it. And that brings me to my next topic, is the cost of bodybuilding, which I suppose we have a lot of beginners and a lot of people who are kind of early days, and they may not have done a prep or they may not have competed yet. And I actually had a conversation last night with a buddy of mine about the cost of preps and all this stuff. And years ago, probably like yourself, a couple of years back, I remember like scrimping and I won't get that, and I'll forego that, and I won't get that. And these were all things to do with your prep that could make you ultimately a lot better. And I think the biggest difference for me is that I go like, all right, grand, yeah, whatever. Like, I'll get a list from Billy. I'll be like, you need to get this, do that, whatever. I'm like, oh, physio, and then I have like, oh, physio here and physio there, and I'm like, cool, yeah, I'll book that now, without even blinking an eyelid. And I always tell people, if you're going to be cheap, you're not going to be a good bodybuilder. Simple.
No, 100%. And we've all I said, think back to like different preps when I was younger and stuff, where I was like, no, I'll skip that. I'll skip this. I'll do this.
I'll buy the discount chicken breasts that are going off in Tesco's.
Yeah. Same as you. Like, I don't even look at prices or consider anything when it comes to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I issue regularly every week. I have a cryo club membership, so I can go get cryo day. Just the body is what, like, for me, it's just like that's the more important thing. It's like, yeah, I'd have to spend that much there. It's cool. I just, I don't go and buy shopping clothes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think it's that you see, I suppose even now more so, like, you see there's a path ahead for you, and you were kind of like, going back to what you're saying, like, did you find that, like, when you were kind of in a low spot, couple of weeks or months ago even, that, like, did you find that you lost, I suppose, like, you lost kind of the foresight of, like, what is your path? Like, are you able to get to this next level? And was it that, like, you kind of lost sense of like, like, ability, and you regained it back, and now you've got clarity? Is that what kind of caused the shift?
Actually, it, I got to a place where I was just disillusioned with what I was doing, because those around me or who follow me closely, by now you've realized I'm pretty much 100% or nothing.
Yeah.
Like my day every day is the same. My food every day is the same. Off season, on season, it's the same. It's just more or less of it.
Yeah.
I don't eat off plan. I don't, if it's not part of the plan. Like, don't get me wrong. The last 2 weeks, I was told I'm not allowed to train. I'm not allowed thing, but I still trained and I still followed a pretty strict food plan. But allowed myself, you know what? I'll eat in this restaurant today and I'll have something,
Yeah.
But other than that, I never deviate from the plan. And I sat there and I was just like, I didn't want to go train. I had hated training for a couple of weeks. And I just sat there and I questioned why I was, sacrificing maybe other things. And at the time, my relationship and stuff, like maybe I could be a better husband than this if I didn't put so much time into this.
Yeah.
And I wasn't seeing the results that I warranted what I was putting in. I was like, I was giving everything, and I was like, I look worse every week.
Yeah.
So yeah,
did you look worse? But did you look worse?
Yeah, I back over the pictures because I've been like, because obviously I realized that as I came out of it, that I was in quite a bad place mentally at the time as well.
Yeah.
Just not in a good spot. So I did look back to see, was I actually being was it clarity or was it me being crazy? But no, I was definitely getting worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I sort of found my passion for it again, and then a few weeks later we're here.
And do you think now that I suppose just with looking into next year as well, looking into 2022, we're almost towards the end of this year now, and you've got an Olympia qualification, which is massive, and you'll be the first Irish, unless someone does it in between now and then, you're gonna be the first Irish person to step on an Olympia stage, bar Shawnee, who that was a Masters Olympia. Still counts.
Yeah,
we're talking about the Olympia. You're the first Irish man to step on an Olympia stage. And do you feel pressure at all anymore, or do you just think that you're doing your thing?
I've actually kind of reached that point now where it's like, well, I guess my mind shift changed a bit when I was in America after the first show I did, because I was always a bit like, I'm doing this for me. I just want to be the best physique, possible.
Yeah.
The show result of the show meant very little to me.
Yeah.
When I went into that Heart of Texas show, I was a bit like, yeah, whatever, I don't really care, but I know I'm bringing better package to see where we land. But then after that show, I kind of was like, I want to fucking win.
Yeah.
So yeah, my mindset's definitely changed a little bit more towards what I want to achieve rather than just an internal.
Just show up. It's not a show up thing anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm more of a drive there, more of a confidence in myself than what I'm capable of.
And I think sometimes you need a win behind you. Sometimes, I see with a lot of amateur guys that it can become disheartening when you give it everything, you knock on the door and you're just push back, and you need to crack through at least once to kind of prove to yourself. And I think you definitely have proven to yourself and a lot of other people the level that you're able to get to. It was never really in doubt, but now it's clear as day. And I think going into next year, do you guys have any game plans set up at the moment as far as next year? Are you going to compete before the Olympia, or are you going to just try to put all your eggs in that basket?
So this has been the conversation nonstop the last few days. Because obviously having a whole year to prepare for the Olympia is awesome. Especially when I've 7 pounds of weight in my cap. So I was 7 pounds under my weight limit.
Okay.
So that's a good year of growing,
Yeah.
Definitely some specifics we want to work on. So we do want a long off season, but then on the same side, it's I'm still very inexperienced with stage,
Yeah.
I'm not like a well-known pro or anything like that. So it's a bit like probably should do another show in the lead to the Olympia. Like what would be ideal would be do something 3 or 4 weeks out.
I'm assuming stateside as well.
Yeah. But then there's the sort of the curveball is the Arnolds. Do you go and do the Arnolds, Ohio, when it's, and from what I've been told, I'm a pretty good contender to get an invite. If I apply, just due to, like, obviously I've won a show, so that puts me up there. But two, because they haven't had anyone Irish on an Arnold stage in Ohio either. You know,
definitely a big draw.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, that's also there. But then it depends. The other thing is we can't make any decisions either because the dates for everything haven't been released. So like now they are saying that at least the Olympia is going to be in Vegas. But then there's talk of it actually moving to December.
Yeah.
Then also you got the Arnold's Ohio. They haven't nailed down what date they're going to be this year either. So it could work out that one's if one's just like a few weeks
like this
before.
Year. Yeah, that'd be ideal.
Yeah,
a 2-week turnaround. Like it's people all say, like, you know, when you do a show, if you do like more than one show, you know, that like the spacing in between the shows, like I think that's critical. I don't know about you, but like, you know, if you've got that 1 week turnaround, like you've a weekend and the following weekend you're competing, that's really, really tough. That is like super difficult. Whereas 2 weeks is doable.
I think I had to do in America.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you did 1 week. Yeah.
Hard, and especially because I woke up the day after the first show, like really run down. And I had ulcers in my mouth. So I had like my eyes were shut together, like stuck together. And I hadn't really eaten much the night before. And I was up a couple of pounds, like nothing crazy. Like I was at 224 or something.
Yeah.
And as the day went on, I did nothing but drink water because I felt sick.
Yeah.
And hands started swelling and pins and needles up my arms and stuff. And then I stood on scales that night and I was 236 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
Having weighed 216 the morning before.
That's crazy.
Just complete water retention. So that entire week, I literally had 70 grams of carbs every day until the day before the show.
You need to flush it back out, like.
Yeah.
That's tough. It's really tough. Actually, John, to be honest, it's even more credit to you because that scenario is incredibly difficult to work. And the fact that like the physique and they're bringing was so good. It's like credit to you. And is Jamie still coaching you?
Yeah. Cool. We definitely, I think we managed to just put my body into a good place that weekend. We knew the kind of what we needed to do differently into the show from the previous one. We knew like to bring my best physique. It was simply just a case of a little bit more water and more food.
Yeah.
To be a bit fuller. So all we needed to do when the weight was so high was literally bring that down, get me into a good position for the day before the show. And we did. We were back to sort of the same weight, everything. But actually it was funny because every day I wake up and my weight would be down like quite a bit. And we're getting closer and closer. And I think it was the Thursday I woke up and I was like 217 pounds or something. So like right where we needed to be, like a couple of pounds under the limit, like perfect. We could start carving up. Yeah. And I took I was like, fuck. And Max was like, what? And I was like, I look good. And he's like, that's a good really. And he's like, really? I was like, no, because it means he's not going to give me any extra food.
Oh, stay as you are.
I sent the pictures. He's like, awesome, best looking prep so far, looking sharp, and you still look crazy full. It's like another low day today. I'm like, oh no.
Shades. Just going, like, I suppose going off of the other Irish guys, we've got there's a pretty good contingent now of classic pros. I think we've got bones of 5 or 6. I think Josh is switching over to classic as well, as far as I know. So between the north and the south, there's quite a few. What do you see? I suppose when you're competing good few years now. I think it was 2012 or 2011 that I first kind of was, I think it was 2012. So we go back nearly a decade. And since then, like, what's your take on the scene here and the standard here? Like, do you think the standard has improved a lot? Do you think there's, do you think there's guys coming up there that could be a good threat for, the pro division?
100%. I think Irish bodybuilding is just getting better and better, because I think now there's the belief there that you can do something that's more popular, it's more professional.
Yeah.
So it's mad. Like, it's crazy for me when I go back. Like, I haven't been back in a while, but I have to go back, and I go into a gym in Cork and I see it's all 16, 17-year-olds, and they're all training well. And I'm there going, I hadn't even seen the inside of a gym at that age.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's amazing to see, and there's definitely some very, very good talent coming through.
Yeah.
I see a lot of good physiques coming up. A couple of young guys from Cork I've seen are very good, and they're doing quite well, going over to Two Bros and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a couple of them that'll be quick on my heels pretty soon.
There's of course we can't, I have to mention the muscle contest, and Brian, who's Brian Bullman, who's one of the expediters of muscle contest, and Tamer as well. We have that coming up here, and that's the big one in Ireland as far as I'm concerned. That is the big one, and that is a pro show, a 212 pro show, an Olympia qualifier, and also a pro qualifier as well for amateurs. So that's on the 4th of December. Here in Ennis. It's in the south of Ireland, and that's going to be a huge one, and that's a chance for guys to win a pro card. And it's tangible, it's real, it can be done. And I suppose like 10 years ago it was a lot more difficult, because you have to travel to far-flung places to get to pro qualifiers. Even winning like a Europeans, or that didn't get you a pro card. It was just they weren't on offer, which was kind of crazy, because in the States they had so many more options available to win an IFBB Pro card, whereas here it was. And obviously we won't go into the split between the elite pros and the pros. There's a big difference, but not going into that. It's a chance for guys from Ireland and from the UK. It's not a big flight from the UK either, to come over and compete in that, if you are going to be in shape, or if you're competing close to that time. I know there's a few pro qualifiers in November as well, and that's people's chance. It's their opportunity to get in that kind of stage, and as well be judged by the likes of Sandy, the likes of the top IFBB Pro judges that literally judge Olympia level competitors.
Yes. And Sandy she was head judge for all the female classes of the Olympia. Yeah.
So like, if you want to talk about like actually being fairly judged, like that is as fair as it comes, as far as your judging panel. And it's an amazing opportunity. And like, you competed at that show a few years back, and I suppose that was your first outing on that kind of stage. And from then you went on to do amazing things, and it can be a really good launch pad for people. So if people are on the fence as to whether they should go for it, as far as after we have shows here in Limerick and Cork that are RBBF, which is our kind of national federation, they're on next month. And if people are on the fence about like holding off another month, would you tell them go for it, or would you say,
I would. Muscle contest is like, it's going to be the biggest stage in Ireland to do. You're doing a show that gives you the potential to turn pro, which is, anyone doing this is obviously, it's the goal. And it's I think we should get behind it more and more. It's great to be an opportunity in Ireland to turn pro. It's a show I'm now involved with as well, so I'm one of the sponsors of it.
I did see that. Congrats. It's great.
Yeah. I actually wanted, truth be told, to put on my own show. but we're not allowed yet with NPC rules to have 2 pro qualifiers without having regionals. And but for me, I would love to see an Irish Nationals finals be a pro qualifier event.
Yeah.
Every other country has it. You know, you got a 2 bros British finals. You got things so like other countries have them. Like the Americans have nationals. You know, so it's fixed to Irish residents only.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's like with much like this show in a few weeks, people can fly in from everywhere. So I want to see more and more Irish pros.
It's coming. It's coming. Like I think it's just a matter of time.
Hopefully, I think along with muscle contests, we can get more and more top end shows. You know, muscle contests are a huge promoter.
Yeah.
So we're lucky to have them in Ireland and doing this show. So if we want Irish bodybuilding to continue to grow, I only see one path of that, and that's with muscle contests growing more.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The other thing too is there's the beauty of that kind of setup that they have is that you can do multiple categories as well. So that's another kind of nice addition. In some federations, you only do one category, and they're giving you guys the opportunity to do multiple categories. So, you know, you can either do an amateur show, which is just an amateur level, or you can do a pro qualifier level if you feel like you're at that level. So that's really nice that you have the option, and you can be on stage with guys, you know, from Egypt, from Dubai, from all over, from Brazil, whether it's the amateur or the pro qualifier, which is kind of cool. It's a good way of getting experience with an international level of competition. So it's going to be a huge one. Darren, I won't hold you much longer because I know you're busy, and I know like you're still a little bit jet lagged and tired from traveling from the States. If people want to get a hold of you or are interested in coaching or interested in just finding out more about you, where can they get you?
Easiest place is just through my Instagram, Darren Farrell _IFBB Pro. Just drop me a DM. You can click it. There's a link to my website. You go through my website. You can see all the information on coaching, and you can send through a contact form or whatever. Or you just simply drop me a DM.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. Nice and casual. I'm assuming you are taking on clients right now.
Yes,
yeah,
but quite limited to what they send through in terms of on their questionnaire.
Ah, cool.
I've been so busy with travel that I've dropped my numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're pretty busy.
Look, best of luck with I suppose the rest of the year, seeing out, you know, going into your off season and obviously preparing for next year. It's going to be huge. This year was a big year for you. Next year is going to be crazy. I've no doubt. So it's going to be interesting, and I suppose like it'll be surreal for me actually watching the live stream and like seeing you on stage next year at the Olympia. It's going to be pretty cool. I'll be like, I remember that guy when he was skinny.
Trying to figure out machines and cargo line.
Yeah, I'm telling you, back in the day. So thanks a million, Darren, and thanks guys for listening.